Nothing has been in vain. Every tear, every sleepless night, every doubt, everything has had a greater purpose. You didn't get here by chance. There was a reason for every detour, every delay, every no that life threw your way. And now, in this moment, you need to ask yourself, are you really ready to receive? Because often we spend so much time waiting that when it finally arrives, we find ourselves paralyzed. The fear of losing, the insecurity of not being worthy, all of this can try to hold you back. But listen, what's coming for you is not a coincidence. It's not luck, it's an answer. You have been shaped for this. You learned to be strong in the pain. You found your true essence in moments when everything seemed lost. And now you stand before a new reality. A new door is opening, an opportunity that, if you hesitate, may not come back anytime soon. So tell me, are you going to accept this turning point? Or are you going to let doubt steal what is rightfully yours? You need to understand one thing. Moments like this don't happen all the time. Life doesn't randomly hand out chances, and what lies before you now is something that can change everything. But this will only happen if you allow it. If you have the courage to take a step forward without looking back, without letting old fears convince you that it's not time yet. Because if you were meant to keep waiting, you wouldn't be feeling this right now, that knot in your throat, that strange feeling in your chest, that chill running down your spine. That's not a coincidence. It's your intuition screaming. It's the universe showing that it has already moved the right pieces, that it has already aligned everything, and now it depends on you. But this is the hardest part, isn't it? Because waiting has taught you to be patient, but it has also conditioned you to live without, to cope with the absence of what you wanted, to settle for less than you deserve, to be content with scraps just to avoid feeling empty. But that time has passed. You've already proven your resilience. You've demonstrated your faith. You've walked through fire without getting burned. Now it's time to see the other side of the coin. And yes, I know you're afraid. Afraid of being disappointed again. Afraid to believe only to see everything crumble once more. That fear doesn't go away. It just changes form. But it can't be greater than your desire to live the change you've waited for so long. You can't let insecurity paralyze you now. How many times have you watched opportunities slip away because you hesitated for just one more second? How many times have you looked back and realized that if you had allowed yourself just a little more, everything could have been different? Well, now you have the chance to do things differently. It's not enough to just want. It's not enough to just wait. You need to take action, claim what is yours. Can you feel that? That different weight in the air? That feeling that something is about to happen? Don't ignore it. Don't put it off. Don't pretend it doesn't concern you. Because this time it does. This time everything aligns. This time it's not a test. It's not a mistake. It's not an illusion. It's the universe responding to your waiting. And if you don't open your eyes now, you might lose what was meant to be yours. So tell me, will you continue to doubt? Or will you finally accept that your time has come? If you've made it this far, you already know the answer. There is no more room for doubt. There is no more time to hesitate. You know what you need to do. You feel it inside you. But will you have the courage to act? Because it's now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready. There will always be a hint of fear, a voice deep down telling you to wait a little longer, to be more certain, to seek more guarantees. But life doesn't work that way. It doesn't deliver certainties ahead of time. It demands a leap of faith. And faith isn't just believing that something can happen. Faith is acting as if it's already happening, as if you already know that what's coming is inevitable, as if every step you take is already paved, even if your eyes can't see the whole path yet. But you still need to make your choice. Because life will never force anything on you. It gives you signs, presents opportunities, lays the pieces in front of you, but it will never move your hand to take what is yours. That's up to you. It always has been. And the truth is, for a long time, you tried to convince yourself that it wasn't time yet, that maybe it wasn't meant for you, that maybe the universe had forgotten to give you what you've been waiting for. But now it's clear. It wasn't the wrong time. It was the time of preparation. Everything you went through, everything you faced, was not punishment. It was building. You were shaped in the silence, strengthened in the wait, polished in the pain. And now, as everything moves in your favor, you have two paths. You can grab this with both hands and live what you've always wanted, or you can retreat once more and hide behind fear, letting life decide for you. But if you choose the second option, don't kid yourself. You know very well what happens when you choose not to choose. Life goes on, time doesn't wait, opportunities don't stay forever. So tell me, do you really want to take that risk? Do you really want to look back one day and realize you missed the biggest chance of your life because you were afraid? Because now there are no more excuses. Everything you used to justify your waiting, to explain your delays, no longer exists. Now it's you against yourself, against your fears, against your old narratives. The universe has already said yes to you. The question is, will you say yes back, or will you remain trapped in the illusion that there will always be a later? What if I told you that the later you've been waiting for never existed? That this time you think you have is nothing more than a reflection of your insecurity? Have you ever stopped to think about how many things you've missed out on by believing there would be a more opportune moment? By nurturing the idea that one day courage would simply appear out of nowhere and everything would make sense. But the reality is different. Courage doesn't come before action. It comes afterward. You only discover that you can when you find yourself halfway there, when you realize you've already started, and that despite the fear you won't go back. So, what are you waiting for now? Another sign, more confirmation, a definitive push. Time has already shown you, life has already taught you, the universe has already prepared you. The only thing missing is you. And I know what's going through your mind right now. You're thinking of everything that could go wrong, of all the times you tried and failed, of every stumble in the past. But don't you realize that this time is different? That this story is not like the others? This time you're not acting on impulse. You're not following a fleeting desire. You've been tested. You've been challenged. You've been backed against the wall. And yet, you kept going, even when you thought you couldn't handle it, even when everything said it would be easier to give up. So why step back now? Why right now, when everything is falling into place, do you hesitate? Perhaps it's because you're too used to the struggle. Perhaps the suffering has become familiar, and the idea of receiving what you deserve feels daunting. You don't know what life would be like without this anguish you've carried for so long, without this waiting that in some way has become part of who you are. But listen, it's time to stop carrying old pains. It's time to let go of an identity based on scarcity, on waiting, on lack. You are not the same person who started this journey. You've grown, you've changed, you're ready. You just need to allow yourself to feel that. And if there's still doubt, look around you. Notice how everything has changed, how the signs are there, clear, evident, just waiting for you to have the courage to accept them. What more needs to happen for you to understand that it's your time? That this turnaround you've been waiting for is not a distant promise, but something that's already happening right now in front of you. The only thing that can stop this change is you. Can you feel it now? That weight in the air, that energy vibrating differently, that feeling that something is about to change, but it depends on a single movement from you to materialize. Ignoring it won't help. You know there's no turning back. What was once a distant wish has now become something tangible. You've traveled too far to pretend you still need more time. The problem is that deep down, you've gotten used to being who you were while waiting. You've grown accustomed to carrying the pain of the delay, the weight of uncertainty, the narrative that one day everything would be resolved. But what if that day is now? What if this moment is already in front of you and you, out of fear, simply are not accepting it? Because that's what's happening. The universe has already delivered to you. What once seemed like an empty promise is now a reality that is moving in your favor. But for it to fully materialize, you need to take action. You need to accept what's coming. And accepting doesn't just mean wishing. You might have spent years wishing, but that doesn't mean you were ready to receive. Now, the question isn't about wanting anymore. It's about being willing to live this new phase without carrying old fears, without letting past pain dictate your future. Because if you stay stuck in what has already passed, you'll never be able to see what's in front of you. So, answer me with complete honesty. Do you really want this change? Because it has already begun. You might not notice, but things around you are not the same anymore. Small details have already changed. People have distanced themselves. New opportunities have arisen. Unexpected situations have pushed you toward different paths. This is not by chance. This isn't just a random movement of life. This is the universe adjusting you, removing what no longer makes sense, making space for the new. But if you continue to hold on to what no longer belongs to this new cycle, you might find yourself left behind. And if that happens, you know what the cost will be, right? Another cycle of waiting, another period of uncertainty, another stretch of postponement. And life won't wait for you to feel completely ready to move on. It continues, with or without you. So, what will you do now? Will you keep insisting on resisting? Or will you once and for all accept that it's time to receive what is yours? If you're still here, reading every word, feeling each sentence as if it's speaking directly to you, then you already know the answer. There's no more room for escape. You feel that this moment is yours. You know it's not a coincidence. You realize that every detail of this journey has brought you exactly to this point. But even so, something inside you hesitates. Maybe because for so long you've become accustomed to living in waiting. You've learned to cope with the absence of what you wanted, to settle for silences, to accept that maybe it wasn't meant to be right now. But what if now is the moment that has always been reserved for you? Can you imagine what it would be like to finally step out of that waiting? What it would feel like to look back and realize that it was all worth it because you had the courage to move forward, because you allowed yourself to accept what was truly yours. The question is no longer whether you deserve it. It was never about that. It was never about being good enough or perfectly prepared. You've been through enough trials. You've been tested. You've endured falls, new beginnings, frustrations, and still you've remained, even when everything pointed to giving up. That means something. It means you didn't come this far for nothing. It wasn't empty resistance, but preparation. You grew in the wait. You learned in scarcity. You became stronger in silence. Now it's time to live the other side of that. But I need to ask you, will you allow it? Because many people reach exactly where you are now and, at the last moment, pull back. The opportunity is right there within reach, but the fear of the unknown, the fear of failing again, the insecurity of not knowing what comes next, all of this makes them retreat. And this is how many bury their own blessings. But you're not going to do that, are you? Not after all you've been through. Not after every sleepless night, every tear shed, every failed attempt. Not after resisting when everything was telling you to give up. So why hesitate now? If you're still waiting for one last sign, let me tell you, this is the sign. The last one. The definitive one. The one you needed to hear to understand once and for all that the wait is over. Now, it all depends on you. Are you going to keep living in the expectation of something that is already set to happen? Or will you finally take the step you need to enter this new phase of your life? You've made it this far. You've felt every word, every emotion. You know that this message didn't come by chance. And now, at this very moment, there's only one choice in front of you: to continue postponing the inevitable or to finally accept that the change has already begun. There are no more excuses. There are no more reasons to wait. The universe has already said yes. Life has already cleared the path. You have gone through the tests, endured the pain, and strengthened yourself in silence. Now all that's left is for you to move forward. And don't fool yourself. If you don't act now, you will look back and realize that this was the crossroads where you chose to lose yourself. Because time doesn't stop. Life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't knock at your door forever. So tell me, are you ready to accept what is yours? To allow yourself to embrace this turning point? If this message resonates with you, I want you to do something right now. Don't let this feeling fade away. Comment below, "I accept my moment." Declare it to the universe. Claim your change. And if this message touched your heart, if it made you see something you had been ignoring, if it brought clarity to what you already knew but didn't want to admit, then like this video now and subscribe to the channel, because I know this isn't the last time you needed to hear something like this. Transformation begins the moment you decide to act, and you just took that step. Now it's up to you to keep moving forward.